I went to Hobby Lobby and I found these little bottles here which you could use to make a little bud vase. Just drill a hole and put that in there. These are plastic, and it was $2.50 for 6 of them. The test tube that I used in that is a 16 millimeter, which is 5/8 outside diameter, and it was $4 for 3 glass tubes at Hobby Lobby. Or you can get the next size bigger, 20 millimeter, $5 for 4 tubes. But if you sign up at Hobby Lobby, you get coupons all the time for big discounts. Then they also have these bottles here, which I found, which you could also take a block of wood, take a Forstner bit, drill a big hole, a 1-inch hole up here to remove the lid, and put that inside a piece of wood to make a vase that would hold more water. So that's some opportunity for these. This was $1.49 with the sprayer in it. This bottle was 99 cents. This one was 67 cents. It's 1.5 inch diameter with 1-inch neck and 4 3/4 inches tall. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to turn this padauk. All right, let's start out with a roughing gouge and get the corners off. Let me have my smock, please. Chips just want to go everywhere.
You'll put this wire behind you, Jack.
No, let's put it inside. Leave it where you had it.
Yeah,
Yeah, leave it where you had it.
All right.
Now, kids.
I'll just zip this up and protect the microphone, and it should still work. Is there anybody here who has not done any turning at all? Okay. The lathe is one of the safest power tools there is. The wood's turning, your tool is standing still, but you can still have problems and nicks, and so safety is always important. And when you first learning to turn, this is what's called dead center. Now we call them a safety drive. They used to use them over here before we got the live centers. So you can use that to turn, and if you get a catch, it will just slip. So, and then I'll just put a little bit of pressure on it, and I'll get enough friction to turn it. I haven't used that because it's the right size for that hole. The hole is not perfectly centered in the block, but when I get through turning, it will.
Yeah, I've seen your mom.
I'm just trying to think of safety.
What's the tool rest?
Well, yeah, you always, when you put a piece out in there, you always turn it by hand all the way around and make sure it's not going to hit the tool rest. The tool rest should be just a little bit below center, but that really depends on your height. If the lathe is higher, you can move it down. If you're taller, you can move the tool rest up because it's a round piece that you're working on. Let me do a little turning on here, and Wes, maybe you can talk to him a little bit about safety. To the group while I do a little turning on it. My mind is on here. Alright, what's going on here? Alright, well I'm going to put my hand over top of this so I can keep the chips from going all over the place. Some of the woods that you turn, you really need protection for, particularly when you're sanding. When you're just turning, it's not too much of a problem. When you start sanding and that dust, it can get in your lungs and really cause you serious problems. And Don Bedell had a real problem with Coca-Cola And that's quite similar to poison ivy and the effect it have on you. And it didn't affect him for quite a while, and then all of a sudden he broke out and got seriously allergic to it. Right, you can put your hand back here, but never here, because it can pull it down in between the tool rest and the wood. But you put your hand back here to check it. All right, now I'm just rubbing the sharp on this. I'm not rubbing the bevel. And we got it round now, and now I want to get a nice clean cut. So now I'm going to rub the bevel and use this like you would a skew. Can you get it on this side here?
Yeah, I got you. Yeah.
Okay. If I use the tool just like this, it's just scraping the wood off. If I turn it up a little bit more like this, it's more cutting it. But when I turn this at an angle, so the wood is sliding across the sharp, I then get a nice clean cut. Now, I did not loosen that. That is coming
the other way once, Jack.
So, I'm rubbing it right there, I'm rubbing the bevel, you can see it slightly burnishing the wood. And then I just slightly pick up and it's going to start cutting. But when I bring it over this way, so the wood is sliding across the sharp at an angle, and now you can see it's burnishing the wood too because I'm rubbing the bevel, and so I'm getting a much cleaner cut. Now one thing I want to, and you can see the shavings are curly rather than just like sawdust. Now one thing I need to do, I need to get fairly thin where these hearts are so that you can really see through there and you can see the vial with the stems in it. But this is going to connect to the lidded box, and then I'm going to have a piece on the top to capture the end. So I'm going to leave both those a little bit bigger diameter. Spindle turning, the grain is going with the lathe bed, so you want to go from larger to smaller diameter. If I go the other way uphill, I'm going to tear the wood out because I'm going to get underneath the fibers and lift them out and tear them out. When I go downhill, I have to cut through the fibers, and then I get a clean cut. Now the other way I can do this is with the skew. The skew is the one tool that we want really, really sharp, and we sharpen it with a diamond stone after we grind it. And it's called a skew because it's at an angle, the sharp is at an angle, and you use it just so. It's A, B, C. A, anchored on the tool rest. B, put the bevel on there, and then C, rotate into your cut. And you can probably see that that's burnishing it and getting a much cleaner cut than I was with the, I better check my thickness there that I don't go too thin. No, I'm good there.
Will the hearts distort as you cut them? Will the heart distort?
No. Well, if I left an angle across the heart, no, not really.
As long as it's centered on the shaft.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, as long as they're centered on the hole. If they're not centered on the hole, then won't look good.
you just did something that always makes me nervous. You just did something that always makes me nervous, is to start the cut off the end, or at the end.
But you didn't see what I'm doing. I'm using this cone right here to control the skew. 'Cause
Okay.
I started out, I'm rubbing the skew on that cone.
Okay.
I'm glad you brought that up and noticed that. As long as I don't put the sharp against that cone, I can get away with it. If I put the sharp edge against the cone, then that'd be kind of hard on the tool.
You want to take your watch off?
Okay, I still want to get that. Huh?
You want to take your watch off? That might be dangerous too.
Yeah, well, you notice I don't wear any rings. I haven't worn a wedding ring since the day I got married, because I was in the service and in electronics in the service, and they wouldn't let you wear a ring. And so it got put in a drawer, and then when I went to put it back on, it didn't fit. We renewed our vows for our 40th wedding anniversary, and my wife bought me a new ring, and I don't want to mess it up, so it's in the drawer too. But I know by this ring right here that I am married. Anybody got any questions, feel free to just holler out.
Are you gonna put a surface design?
Yeah, I was
Did you
planning
cut away
on, that's
too?
the next thing I was gonna get into.
Okay.
And, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and do that now.
How big of a hole did you put all the way through there, Jack?
I put a 5/8 hole, actually it's a 6/32 bigger than that. So
For the
we
glass
fit the glass tube. All right, I'm gonna do a little bit of texturing with this Sorby mini texturing tool, the spiral on it, and do that